Hello, Sneeze fans. This is going to be a different kind of recording for me. There won't be any sneezing, just talking about something that I think needs talking about. Now, don't panic. This isn't anything that serious, but it's kind of a tricky thing to talk about, so let me explain. I don't give out personally identifiable information like my age when talking to people online, but I am willing to tell anybody that I'm a legal adult if they're concerned. I guess I have one of those voices where it's hard to tell. In any case, I'm not somebody who's hung up on age. I make it a point to never ask for somebody's age when I'm talking to them online about sneeze stuff. But sometimes people volunteer their ages, and recently I've had a few incidents where I've been contacted by fans of my videos who are as young as 10 or 11 years old. And that took me by surprise. What's more, I recently had one person ask me why they had this funny feeling like they had to pee when listening to my recordings. Now, I believe the standard adult response to a question like that is to shout, "Look! An alien invasion!" and then run away while your head is turned. I'm not going to do that, which is probably foolish of me, but the truth is that I find that question to be really awesome, and I think it's an important question. And I think anybody who is brave enough to ask something like that is really cool, and the question deserves an answer. But make no mistake, it's an awkward question to ask, and it can be also pretty awkward to answer. But I think that if I'm getting these kinds of questions, I'm probably not the only one. I personally feel like it's best to talk frankly about this kind of thing, and my hope is that this video can answer this kind of question and avoid more awkward situations. So I want to address my pre-teen and younger Sneeze fans directly. Hey guys! I know you can't see me, but right now, in order to connect with you better, I am wearing a baseball cap backwards. That's right, that makes me cool and relatable, right? Okay, I've just been informed by the voices in my head that it does not, and that I should probably not do that rap that I was planning on either. That is disappointing. I mean, TV told me that kids like backwards baseball caps and rapping. How could it steer me so wrong? Anyway, that's not the important thing here. I want to talk to you about those feelings some of you are getting when you listen to sneeze recordings. You may have been told that as you get older, you're going to start having new feelings about boys or girls, or maybe both. That you're going to start looking at their bodies in a new way and want to date them and kiss them as well as other stuff. What this basically means is that you're going to start finding other people sexy, and you're going to start having sexy feelings about them. What you may not have been told is that you can also get sexy feelings about other things, which is probably why you're a little confused. So to answer the main question about this, yes, that tingly feeling you have when you feel like you need to pee when you really don't, is a sexy feeling. It may seem strange to you that you're feeling this way when you listen to sneezes, but don't worry. You're not a freak, and your feelings are natural. Now, it is a little bit unusual to feel this way about sneezes, but the fact is that most people have something unusual that gives them a sexy feeling. For some people, feet are really sexy, for example. Some people are into coughing. And there are even some people who find balloons really sexy. People usually call this kind of thing a fetish, which is a little inaccurate, but that's a discussion for another time, so I'll just go with it. There are lots of these fetishes out there, and it's all very interesting and wonderful stuff. But getting into specifics is difficult. See, I'm personally fascinated by all aspects of human sexuality, and I love talking to other people who are into sneezes and finding out about their experiences. What I've discovered is that there is a lot of variation in the way people feel about sneezing. Some people even really like sneezing, but they don't feel like it's a sexual thing. And maybe you're somebody who feels that way, in which case the stuff I just said doesn't apply as much to you, but you might want to listen anyway because a lot of people do feel this way, and you're going to want to know about that stuff when you talk to other people who are interested in sneezing as well. I also have a bit of advice that can still apply to you. In any case, no matter what your personal experience is with these feelings, you're not alone. There are a lot of us who are interested in sneezes, and we've gone through the same feelings that you're going through. And to tell the truth, I'm really jealous of you. When I was your age, we didn't have all these sneezing videos on YouTube. For a long time, I didn't realize that there were other people who shared my interest. My earliest memory of my interest in sneezing was when I was around 3 or 4 years old in daycare, and the teacher read us a book about a girl who catches a cold. I remember having a funny feeling about it that I didn't understand. But it was when I was about your age, around 10 or 11, that I started to get a lot more interested in things like seeing pictures of girls naked and imagining them sneezing. At the time, I didn't have the opportunity to talk with other people who were interested in sneezing, but you do, and I think you're pretty lucky for that. But at the same time, I want to urge you to be careful. There are simple things you can do to help make sure that your experience is safe and as fun as possible. Now, when I was young, I may not have been able to talk to people who were interested in sneezing, but when I was only a little older than you, I used to sign up for adult message boards, lying about my age, of course. I loved talking sexy and participated in a lot of very sexy role plays. And for those of you who aren't as hip and with it as I am, a role play is basically playing pretend. You pretend to be in some sexy situation and then you say what sexy things you're doing to the other person, and they say what they do in response. I won't get too graphic here, but one example might be something like, "I kiss you, enjoying the feel of your lips against mine." And the other person might respond, "I lean into your kiss, sliding my hands along your back and pressing against you." These role plays can get very sexy and really steamy, but they don't have to. Some people like to roleplay situations that don't involve sex. You personally might not feel like you're ready for a lot of sexy talk just yet, and that is perfectly fine. But I think you should be aware that when you're looking for people to talk with about sneezing, that a lot of people are really interested in that kind of talk, and some of them can get a little creepy about it. Don't feel pressured into doing anything that you're not comfortable with. And don't be shy about telling people what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. Lay it out in plain language so that people know where they stand. So here are my tips for participating in the online sneezing community at your age, and I think a lot of them apply to pretty much any age, but you'll probably want to take these a little seriously. So first, don't tell people any personally identifiable information. You don't need to tell anybody your name, age, phone number, or address. I recommend creating completely separate accounts for your sneeze activities. Invent a new name or a username and get yourself a separate email account just for sneeze stuff. You can easily sign up for a new Gmail account. It's very intuitive and can be done in under a minute. You should get a new YouTube account too for commenting on sneeze videos, and don't tell people your Facebook information as a general rule. I would personally recommend not telling people how old you are unless maybe you get a feel for this and think that they won't be weird about it. I myself never ask for ages, and I would encourage you to do the same thing and not ask for the ages of people you talk to in the sneezing community. You can certainly do what I did when I was young and pretend to be 18 online, but that's up to you. I would also recommend against sharing pictures with people, especially if people ask to see parts of your body that you're not willing to show them. And that brings me to my second point. I've been trying to keep this generic, but this part is mainly for the girls. There are some guys out there who are a little over-eager and will send you pictures of their penises without asking. I want to be clear that this is rude, and you shouldn't feel like you're obligated in any way to respond in kind. Certainly, a girl may enjoy receiving those kinds of pictures, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's incredibly rude for a guy to just assume that you'll be into seeing his penis. You don't need to feel guilty if you want to just block somebody who does that. In fact, you shouldn't feel guilty about blocking anybody who says something that makes you really uncomfortable. And if I have any young guys listening, I think you get the message too. Just don't do that. My final piece of advice is about telling people in your life about your interest in sneezing. I've heard from some of you that you've actually told friends and family members about this interest. It seems like innocent fun, and if you don't think your interest is sexual, then maybe that's okay. But I've heard from older people who often get very embarrassed when they remember back to the time they used to tell their family members about their interest in sneezing, and it kind of makes them cringe. Now, if you think that applies to you, don't panic. This isn't something that you need to feel guilty about, it's just not the kind of thing that is generally appropriate to share with your family members. So you might want to let that fall into the past. Keep calm. If you start acting all weird about sneezing now that you know it's a sexual thing for you, people will get suspicious. All you have to do is just stop talking about sneezing so much, and if other people bring it up, just nod politely and don't deny that it's one of your interests, but try to change the topic when you get the chance. Eventually, if people think about it at all, they'll remember it as a quirky interest you used to have when you were younger. Okay, I think that's it for the time being. There are a lot of resources out there for people like you to help you better understand your body and your sexuality. This video is only about your sexual interest in sneezing, but I will put links to more general resources in the description if you're interested. And if you have any questions that you think I can answer or want some advice and feel like you'd be comfortable talking to me, I'd be happy to help. Of course, there's no reason that you need to feel comfortable talking to some guy that you don't know who likes to make a fool out of himself on YouTube, but my ears are always open in any case. My email address is sneezyp0123@gmail.com, and I hope this video has been useful to you.